he's back, he's back, he's back. And so she came down and then flared out. You touched down on the main wheels, and I remember tearing along, I'd got the brakes on, and then all of a sudden, everything in front of me disintegrated virtually. I remember this God Almighty crash and water and everything, and I sort of realised I was underwater, and I thought there's not much future in that, and struggled out.
The troops had landed in a pond about 200 feet from their target bridge. They swept out, leaving Jeff behind badly concussed. Staggering out from the wreckage into the dark, he ran straight into his own men.
They challenged me with the password, and I, in my dizzy state, didn't answer quick enough. He fired in my general direction, and I got hit in the wrist. It was a stinging sensation. I remember that. It was like something, I'd been bitten by a giant wasp or something.
Jeff had been hit by friendly fire, but his men took the bridge in just 15 minutes. Only 2 British soldiers were killed, the first Allied casualties of D-Day, the first of thousands. The glider mission had gone like clockwork. Now it was the paratroopers' turn. 30 miles to the west, over 800 droning C-47 transport planes were crossing into France. German anti-aircraft guns opened fire.
You're mesmerized by all the fire coming up, the tracers coming up. When the enemy's moving the gun this way and then back, searching for you at night, the bullets, it's hard to explain, but all the bullets follow in a pattern, and it looks like a living snake.
The paratroopers' mission was clear. Rally at the drop zones, then keep the Germans from reinforcing their lines by taking the town of Sainte-Mère-Église and 4 vital roads behind Utah Beach.
There was so much flak hitting, and all the troopers, they set up like a chant. They said, let's get out, let's get out, let's get out of this damn thing. So when we finally got the green light, it was like a gigantic spring. Everybody went. So the first thing you do is check your canopy all the time. So that's what I did. The first thought, check the canopy. All the tracers coming. I saw the tracers actually going through, and I knew the machine gunner was trying to shoot me, but elevating his gun, he was shooting over me, and he's hitting the canopy.
The airborne assault was a mess. Half the paratroopers were hopelessly scattered off course as their pilots tried to evade the fog and the heavy flak. Some fell directly on the town of Sainte-Mère-Église, only to be riddled with bullets as they landed amid German troops. And Rommel had laid yet another trap. He had flooded the surrounding fields. Paratroopers drowned in up to 5 feet of water. Those who survived the jump had to regroup quickly if they were to stop the Germans from reinforcing the beaches. Don Burgett found himself all alone.
First thing you're thinking of is, where can I find somebody, a friend, any kind of a friend, maybe even an enemy, as long as we sit down and talk this thing over.
Don spied someone lurking in the nearby brush, but he could not identify him. He pulled out the child's toy given to each paratrooper to signal one another in the dark.
I laid the little metal cricket alongside the rifle, and I took a bead on him, and I clicked it, and there was no responding. And I don't care what kind of training you have, but when you come to your first person that you know you're going to kill, there's a feeling that you'll never, my heart beat so hard that I felt my pulse throbbing in my temples, and the sweat was rolling out from underneath my armpits and dripping off my elbows, and there's a sick feeling, and it's something that we weren't raised to do. If I write this twice, I should have shot that man. But then I said, I'll give him one more chance. And so he started crawling toward me. And he got up pretty close to me, and I could recognize him. It was Hundley, and I knew him very well. I called him a couple names, and I said, why in the hell didn't you answer me? Why didn't you click? He said, Don, I lost my cricket. And I said, why didn't you answer me? He says, my throat was so dry I couldn't talk.
The German troops stationed at Omaha Beach had not heard the anti-aircraft fire. They were sound asleep.
Hier standen Holzbetten drin.
There were wooden beds in here.
Wir hatten Strohsäcke, auf denen
We had sacks filled with straw to sleep on. There were up to 3 beds stacked on top of each other. I slept in this area in the middle.
Bereich in der Mitte. In der Nacht vom 5. zum 6. Juni.
On the night of the 5th of June, I just got back to bed around midnight when a comrade appeared in the doorway shouting, "Alarm!"
Ruft herein, Alarm. Und wir hatten
The day before, we had heard that there was going to be an alarm drill. So we told the guy off. We threw him out and told him, sod off, let us get some kip in here.
und haben gesagt, hau ab, lass uns jetzt pennen hier. Und der
He had just left when one of our corporals barged in, screaming into the bunker, "Guys, this time it's crunch time. They're coming."
Kerls, jetzt wird's aber ernst. Sie kommen.
The DD tank crews heading for Sword Beach had 2 hours before they would be launched into the sea from their landing craft, called LCTs.
Oh, the crossing, oh, it's terrible. And I wasn't a very good sailor at the best of times, but the LCTs were flat-bottomed.
Flat at the front and flat at the back and flat either side and flat underneath.
Sitting bow go up like that, and you waited because you know, and woof, and it dropped down like that, and we were hanging onto the...
And we were going across the swell. It was a horrible movement.
Da es sehr kalt war,
It was very cold. There was a cold wind
unser
blowing.
Koch dann auch noch in der Nacht
During the night, our cook brought us some hot mulled wine.
heiß gemacht.
It was really hot. It cheered us up a bit.
Etwas aufgefrischt.
The Higgins boats were under great strain. The rough seas of the Channel were a far cry from the calmer waters of the Mississippi.
There was an Army lieutenant standing right here with his 36 comrades, and he was a chaplain, no less. And of course, bouncing around as we were doing all this period of time, he became seasick. Being the landlubber that he was, he stuck his head up to the wind, and oh, I could see it coming, but there was nothing I could do about it. I caught it all. I had coffee, I had milk, I had eggs, oh man, it was a mess. You had to be there.
Im Morgengrauen sahen wir
At dawn, we saw movement on the horizon.
Horizont. Und als es langsam heller wurde,
As it got lighter, we could see that the horizon was black with ships.
der Horizont schwarz von Schiffen. Da habe
I
ich
said to my comrade,
gesagt,
"Hell, they've got more ships than we've got soldiers."
dass wir Soldaten hier sind.
Unlike the other beaches, the German troops had a natural advantage at Omaha. They held the high ground. To knock out the German gun positions nestled in the hills, the Allies had planned a massive air and sea bombardment. But once the invasion force hit the beach, the DD tanks would have to take up the gauntlet. The American commanders ordered the launch of 29 of the tanks 3 miles from land. But the swirling currents made the distance too great for the tanks to swim ashore. From a British frigate just off the beach, Major Scott Bowden watched the terrible drama unfold.
We said, they must be balmy, they must be mad. We both said it simultaneously. We're crazy. And much has been made of this, and much has been talked about it, because they drowned 26 tanks, one after the other.